Okay, let's look at this first question. It says to solve for r in terms of q and b. That means q and b will be in the answer. We're solving for r. And so because we have multiplication over here, we could rearrange, we can rearrange the order here. We could have q equals pi times b times r squared if you want to. You don't have to do that, but you could. All we're going to do is undo the multiplication of pi b on both sides. Cancels there. So on the same side here, divide by pi b. And so what we end up with, q divided by pi b equals r squared. Now it does say solve for r, so we're not quite done. What we need to do now is we need to unsquare the r squared, and in order to do that, we can use the square root, so we'll square root both sides. Alright, so what we now have is r equals, and we can leave this as the square root of q divided by pi b. And that is our answer. Please stay tuned for the question to follow. Alright, let's look at this question. It says solve for r. The first thing I notice here is we have a fraction, 1/3 times everything. I think it'd be easier if we were to move that fraction first. And we can move this fraction by multiplying by its reciprocal. And so if we multiply both sides by 3/1, same thing over here, 3/1, or times 3. Simplifies things a little bit. 3h equals pi r squared y. And now what I'm doing is, again, I'm solving for r. I can rearrange the order here. Pi y r squared. It still will give us the same thing, same answer. And I'm going to divide by pi y on both sides. So pi y's will divide out or cancel. It leaves me with r squared equals 3h divided by pi y. And I am solving for r, not r squared, so I need to unsquare the r squared. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And so my final answer will be the square root of 3h divided by pi y equals r. Please stay tuned for the question that follows. Alright, let's look at this question. It says solve for t in terms of x and y. And so I'm solving for t. It's t squared. I know eventually I'm going to take the square root of both sides. But I do have a fraction. I can move the fraction by dividing by 1/2. But when I divide by 1/2, it's the same as keep, change, flip. Multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. And so the fraction will eliminate each other, basically. We have 2x equals y times t squared. Y times t squared, we're going to undo that with division. So we get t squared equals 2x divided by y. And we'll take the square root of both sides to unsquare the t. And that will give us the square root of 2x divided by y, and that is all under the square root symbol, equals t. That does it for this question. Please stay tuned for the question to follow. Alright, let's look for this question here. It says solve for c. And nothing squared here, so I don't have to take the square root of anything, but I do know that because this is multiplication, I can rewrite the order of things. The d and the c can switch. So now it makes it a little easier just to undo the multiplication by division. And yeah, I can divide by two things at once. So the BD's will cancel each other out. I'm left with C equals A divided by BD. Please stay tuned for the question that follows. Alright, let's look at this example. It says solve for C. Since we're solving for C, we don't need to unsquare B here. So that's something we don't need to take care of. The fraction, though, we will need to take care of. You can divide both sides by 1/3, which is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Keep, change, flip. So the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3/1. So what we have here is 3a equals, and we're going to have pi times b squared times c. And since I'm solving for c, I can simply divide by pi times b squared. That is all one value. Same on this side as well. The pi b squareds cancel, and it leaves me with c equals 3 times a divided by pi times b squared. That does it for this question. Please stay tuned for the question that follows.